Hello everyone, this is Jim Krasinski. So I decided to produce a separate instructional video on the evaluative annotated bibliography or EAB assignment. That way I could spend some time talking in detail about the criteria and expectations for that particular assignment, while at the same time I don't try to speed it along, cram it into a weekly lecture video. That way I can cover course content through the Curious Researcher and other strategies in the lecture video. So kind of breaks it up. That way you're not really viewing really a long video. So that being said, remember the annotated bibliography is the next focused assignment. The purpose here is to define the scope and establish a research about a focused topic. So the idea here, your organization must be alphabetically. Remember, organization sources are organized alphabetically. I also indicate to review Chapter 2 of the Curious Researcher, pages 59 to 60. Something what we're doing, Ballinger describes as the evaluative bibliography. All right, so you're going to begin with a minimum of 8 sources, no more than 10, and 1 or 2 sources from each of the 4 categories listed below. So I'll cover the categories in a minute. You're going to begin with an introduction with a clearly defined focusing research question. Okay, singular tense there, question. Just looking for one, followed by a well-crafted paragraph explaining background information about your interest in this question and its significance to you and your potential readers about your research topic. So should not take up more than about a third of the page. You can single space this. You can single space the whole thing as long as you break up some of the text and there's adequate white space to highlight your sections and your citations and annotations, right? So the first category is published books and articles. These may include the following: books written by one or few authors, edited collections of books. You can use chapters. You don't have to use a whole book. You can grab a chapter from a book or an edited collection. There are ways to cite those. You can, in many ways, look in the back of the Curious Researcher. Appendix A gives you much information about how to go about citing your sources. So, also you must have a try at scholarly, technical, and/or scientific articles, depending upon your topic. If you're able to understand them, that's important, right? Magazine and newspaper articles, if they are substantive. You can use the library databases. Yes, you can use the library databases to find articles from the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune. You can dig into really some top publications like the Atlantic and the magazine side. So you want to grab something that's authored. You should always be working with authored sources, and that's one of the topics I'll talk about in the lecture video. All right, then we move on to internet sources. That's the next category with annotations. Remember, everything is with annotations. So the internet sources are typically unpublished, sponsored by organizations, businesses, and government. The category could include like blogs, maybe discussion forums. I kind of frown on those. And your annotations of the web sources explain the choice of each one based on its credibility and/or how it represents an important viewpoint related to your focusing question. So the idea here is you have to be careful with internet sources. Look carefully for the author. Sometimes it's obscure. You're looking for authored sources. Just think about why use a source that's not authored. Somebody might be afraid to put their name on it. It's kind of a red flag there. All right, so the next category then is multimedia sources with annotations. Documentary films, TED presentations, and I know what you're probably thinking. Can I use a YouTube video? Yes, you can. More and more organizations are publishing their content to YouTube. You can use them. Okay. The idea here is it must be significant. It must be credible. Be careful in YouTube videos. Some of them I just flat out do not allow. So be aware. Also, then your following last category here is living sources. Refer to pages 67 to 78 in the Curious Researcher. It talks about interviews. This is the section that actually talks about field work. We're not going to be doing any field work this semester due to the pandemic, but we're going to talk about interviews. Okay, you can use a personal interview. It must be completed and cited, right? See page 183 in the textbook. Appendix A is a great resource for how to cite a personal interview. Or if you want to do a survey, SurveyMonkey is, free, limited survey, but it must be completed and tabulated. You can't say, I'm gonna interview this person or I'm gonna do this survey. No, that's not a concluded activity. It cannot be cited, and it cannot be then included in the annotated bibliography. So think about what would be a realistic approach to you, right? So those are the 4 categories. Now you're supposed to have 1 to 2 of each category. I want to see all 4 categories represented. Please, please, please. You're not going to use 2 or 3 internet sources and 4 or 5 videos. It's just, and you're not going to do well in the grading department with that. All right. So after your 8 sources with annotations, you need a conclusion where you explain where you are now in your thinking, right? After all this thinking and writing and researching, how has your thinking changed and what have you learned? Then you want to end your conclusion with a tentative thesis statement that you can use to continue to shape your research project. All right. So this is the annotated bibliography instructions. I also have here, hopefully it will open up. Yay. Here's an example at English 1102 students. This particular topic was the benefits of community college. You have your introduction. You have your citations here. Okay, we are using MLA. The internet source here was published by the American Psychological Association, the author. So you can see how it's introduced. There you have the summary and then also the idea of what it does exactly for that research project. So once again, this is a student example. There are no perfect student examples. The idea here is to give you some sort of an idea of what or how a student in English 1102 handled this particular assignment. So that's about all I have regarding the evaluative annotated bibliography assignment. I hope that this helps you through. If you have any questions, please send me an email and good luck.